And she's our distance learning coordinator for the School of Business. And she is teaching, she just had a baby, and she's teaching all of her classes online this semester. So she has to really do a lot of things with the virtual classroom and with you know, the group pages and a lot of that stuff. So she has really been, she's been in my office, she's shown me a lot of things that have just helped facilitate me. Also, other faculty and staff, we collaborate or commiserate, whatever you want to call it. We talk all the time about things. Last year, I think I spent a lot of time when I developed the course. The things that I put in, it took a lot of time. I mean, it was very time consuming. So this year I had to figure out, okay, what do I need to do differently in order to not minimize the time, but make the best use of the time for both me and the students when it comes to what they're learning and how they're learning. And then, of course, Kettle and Siddle. And of course the students give you feedback too about what they like and what they don't like and what works for them. And a lot of the students I find are working, they're reading their lectures, they're looking at their PowerPoint slides and things like that at work. And sometimes there are, what do you call the things, the firewalls, they're up at their jobs, and so they can't get some of the, like all of these little add-ins and things like that. So you want to kind of make things simple so that they can get to these things, but you can also have maybe other links that will allow them to do like the downloads and things like that. So I find things like that. And so again, as we get this new and improved technology, I don't know if we're gonna keep Blackboard, I guess we are, but if we don't, just understanding the basics of it really does help you transition to any kind of new and improved. Because this year, this Blackboard 8 is a little different than last year, and it took a little tweaking and some things to get used to, but we're getting there. So those are my disclaimers. So why use discussion board? Now I use it, and you all please feel free to chime in, but it serves as a means of communicating with students in lieu of a face-to-face environment. And when I first started teaching last year, that online course, I was so leery about teaching because I love teaching face-to-face. I love being in the classroom, and I like being in front of the students. And I was just like, there's just no way. I want to record every single lecture just like I would in the classroom and just post that. That's what they should see, you know. But the discussion board allows you, you still get to know the personalities of the students. You get to interact with them in a way that you could kind of in the classroom. It simulates the classroom a little bit. It also offers an alternative way, other than tests, exams, quizzes, things like that, to ascertain knowledge, understanding, or application of material covered. Because you're doing discussion boards and you're having them post you know, threads and discussions about certain topics. And I can tell you, like, for example, one of the things that I did, I made at the beginning, I teach marketing. And at the beginning of the semester, I had the students choose, I gave them a list of organizations, and they had to be an expert for the organization. So no one student had the same organization. So when we're going through terms and concepts, I would say, I would give the question, I would say, using the organization for which you're an expert, please discuss, you know, your target market. And so because there are all these different organizations, I'd be able to see whether or not they really understand, as opposed to them just saying, oh yeah, the target market for one organization, you know, like a Walmart, they'd have all these different, and then there's a lot of dialogue and stuff that goes on between the students as well. And it gives the instructor an indication of level of involvement of the students. I have students right now who have not signed in to Blackboard, you know, and so because what I do is I send them emails. When I first begin the class, well, actually before class begins, as I see them registering, I send them emails and I'll tell them how to get registered, how to log on. I send them, you know, all this information, and and so, you know, I get feedback. Some of them will say, I can't get in, I don't know what I'm doing, and then we go back and forth. They call me or whatever. But I have students who, they register for the class, so they're in Banner, but they're not. Well, actually, they got into Blackboard. They registered for Blackboard, but they have done no discussions, none whatsoever. So at midterm, you know, they got enough. But what happens is I can put, you know, in the midterm, they have never, where in face-to-face classes, we can say they never attended. I use the discussion board sometimes for attendance, too. I can say they haven't been to a discussion board since day one, or they never, you know, because some of the things I do are so easy, they should just get on just to do a getting to know you, to tell me who you are. So, and then of course it can help to improve the class or future classes, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the little snafus that I ran into. So let's see if I can go in. Oh, now, this discussion board, you know, because it's asynchronous, it basically allows the student and instructor to communicate without both parties being present at the same time. That's one of the best features probably for faculty and students. I mean, they can be up at 3 o'clock in the morning responding to the discussion board, and when you want to grade it, you could be, you know, on the beach somewhere, you know, if you want to grade, you know, if that's what floats your boat, that's fine. And I think that actually the second bullet, I think it really does encourage creativity of thought, because the students don't really have you staring, like you're in a classroom and you're waiting for them to answer you, or even if you're in a virtual classroom where you're online with them, they're waiting for you. I mean, you're waiting for them, or they feel like you're waiting for them to answer. But this gives them the opportunity to really think about what they're going to say, how they're going to say it, how it's going to be perceived by their fellow students and things like that. So I think I get some really good responses because the students do a lot of research on the topics that we're talking about. And then it provides a degree of flexibility for both parties. So again, with the time constraints, or, you know, if you want to go back in, like I'll give deadlines. I'll say you need to post all of your responses by, you know, like say today is, you know, October 23rd. I might say by October 30th, you need to have all of your responses posted, which means you have to go in, you respond, and then if I respond back, you have a chance to respond back to me, and, you know, you can get all of those in, and that's how I grade, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so let's see. See if I can go into it this way, but if not, then I'll just. Oh, do you? Mm-hmm. Thank you, Carolyn. So glad you're here.
And while you're getting in, because you're going to have to log in.
Yes.
Dr. Herring used discussion board when he was away for a conference to have his students still do their without having to get something else. Okay. It will, you need to, the link that you had was too long for it to actually take you into that.
Oh, okay. It took me in on my computer.
Yeah, in the office it would.
But it's a secure site, so you're gonna. That's right.
Okay. Well, this is the class I taught last year online, and it's fun. It's funny because I'm one of the. We're luckiest in, I don't know, in some of your areas, if you have these course cartridges, or they call them, I think they're cartridges. If you have those, use them, because you can go in and you can take out what you don't need. But the course cartridge for this book actually has PowerPoint slides. It has e-lectures where there's somebody actually lecturing. It has quizzes, tests. It has a lot of things, audio and cases and things like that you can use, and it really makes it a lot easier to develop your discussions, because you don't have to worry about, okay, I got to do PowerPoint slides, I got to do all these other things for the class. So if you can get a textbook that has a course cartridge that you can download, make sure that you can get that, because that really does help.
Is there an extra charge for that?
Now, okay, let me tell you, it's not an extra charge for the cartridge, but they will charge the students sometimes extra to get into, if you're going to use all of the materials. Like for the PowerPoint slides, they don't charge the students extra. But if you want them, like I can show you, like for example, I had the students pay for their car, and it was kind of expensive. This year I didn't, but last year I did. And for example, like so like if you go into read chapter 2, they have the PowerPoint slides, the e-lecture, and then here's a beat the clock quiz. And you could actually, if they click on the beat the clock quiz, it's actually an online quiz that shows that they can just take online and you get their score automatically. And you can use that to help, you know, with assessment and things like that. I would normally not count this as a grade. I would count this as assessment to see where they are, because, you know, they could collaborate or whatever. But I don't know. So this might not come up because this is last year. But
and it depends on which publisher you're
right.
working with as to whether or not they'll charge a student.
Right. Exactly, exactly. So, so let's talk about the discussion board. So what I did was, when I first started, and I'm gonna show you, this is my last year, and then I'll show you this year, because I did some different things. But they changed the discussion board, the way you do the discussion board, okay? So when you do, everybody knows how to set up the discussion boards and everything, right? So, you know, I had